Yo guys, so today I wanted to talk about 5 underrated magic types, and more particular, why these 5 magic types have the potential to be overpowered, pretty much if they were utilized to the extreme. So for starters, obviously, we're not going to talk about already overpowered magic types in the series already, like time magic, blood magic, or like light magic or demon light magic. Those are already magic types within the series that are already viewed to be overpowered, especially among the community. So in this video, I wanted to shine a little more light on certain magic types that have the power to be extremely overpowered, but are underrated. So let's talk about it. First one on this list is Rev Chain Magic. How does it work? We've seen in chapter 1 where once you're caught in Rev Chain Magic, it restricts your own magic and also your movement by using a creation magic spell called Magic Binding Iron Chain. Now, honestly, my first initial thoughts when I first seen Rev Chain Magic used against Yuno, I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool magic type. But I knew that he was going to get fodderized because he is the first villain that just showed up in the series, so you just knew the first fight was not gonna last long. But I still thought that his magic type was pretty cool. He used a new spell against Asta when Asta showed up called Dance of the Pitless Viper, where the end of his chains become like snake faces, and it gave such a heavy blow where Asta even admits that he cannot beat this guy just by his physical strength alone. And that's when we realize that Asta is going to need some sort of power source moving on through the series, because physical attributes alone is not enough in the world of Black Clover unless you have an extra power source, which is magic, or in this case of Asta, anti-magic, which was the only thing that could break Rev G's iron chain. I think if Asta was to have magic in this situation, they still would have lost, because Rev Chain Magic just would have sealed him right away and he wouldn't be able to use his magic either, just like Yuno. Because it really doesn't matter how strong you are, once you are caught in his chain magic, you are done. And we've seen this happen again in chapter 170. With the help of Gildray's transparency magic, Invisible Seeker plus Invisible Traveling Companion, on top of the fact that spell even hides one's magic, Rev G used his chain magic against an elf who had way more mana than he had, but he was able to restrict his movements and also his magic. The elf even stated that his magic is far greater than Rev G's, but he was still caught and couldn't use his magic. So it doesn't matter if you're 10 times stronger than Rev G, once you're caught in his chain, that's pretty much it. Just think about it, based on the way his magic works, Tabata can really make this guy really overpowered if he really wanted to, but I don't think that will be the case. But it is funny that him and Gidra was talking to each other, talking about their magic types, and they both screamed out that they are invincible. Because Gildray magic, the way it works, once he's invisible, any magic type, no matter what it is, can just go through him. It will just bypass it. It will not have any effect, while Rev Chi can seal any magic. They are the ultimate duo, which leads to a perfect transition why Gildray's magic type, Transparency Magic, is another magic type that can be extremely overpowered. Now, as a character, I don't think anybody in the Black Clover fandom likes this guy, right? However, his transparency magic is pretty cool. So let's talk more in details of how his transparency magic actually works. So as I stated before, Gildray's magic allows him to become invisible, and it also erases his magic presence. And while being invisible, any magic type would just phase right through him. Now, however, you can touch him in this form, but not with your magic, only with physical contact. And that's easier said than done, because if you can't sense his magical presence, what can you rely on? Unless you have ki like Asta and Yami, you can touch him, but other than that, you can't, unless his mana runs out. Now, with his transparency creation magic, things he can create that can become invisible, for example, his invisible troops, they can be touched by magic and they also can be sensed by magic. We've seen this happen in chapter 55 when he uses invisible troops against the Magic Knight captains and Julius to run and escape once he got caught that he was the traitor. It took all the Magic Knights together with the help of Julius to get rid of all those invisible troops, so it shows that Gildray is perfect at escapes. But the way that his magic operates, he can be the perfect assassin or a top Magic Knight captain if he actually tried. Because his magic is extremely overpowered, he is just the wrong one using it. In chapter 208, we seen that his magic was also able to phase through Zagreat's magic. That is devil magic, otherworld magic. So in that sense, we already know that he's arcane. But obviously, of course, he uses transparency magic to get money and steal and rob from people. But if only this guy utilizes magic to his full degree, man, he will be extremely overpowered. He's the prime example of someone who is gifted but don't utilize their gifts in the right way. That's Gildray for you. Now, this one may be a little surprised, but next character on this list is Randall's air magic. So Randall's air magic is another type of magic similar to Gildrake, but it has an invisible nature to it. You can sense its magic presence, but it's extremely hard to dodge because Randall is propelling himself to increase his speed and mobility with his air magic. And we see how it was fully utilized when he was elf-possessed. In a way, this guy is pretty much the Aang of the Black Clover verse in terms of airbending, because this guy's air magic is so versatile. In chapter 171, we see him use a spell called Explosive Airwave Palm, where he thrusts the air with his sand, sending away multiple people. Another spell is his Crushing Air Blast, where he condenses so much invisible air, and he shoots it out, very similar to a Kamehameha wave, where it destroys everyone within his area. I mean, we see him pretty much beat all the Crimson Lion members except for Fagolion, Mirleona, and of course Leopold, but he was going to destroy Leopold. Leopold even stated that the only way you can counter or dodge his invisible air magic is to read the flow of his mana. So if you're not good with mana sensing, you're really not going to beat this guy. Even if you do read the flow of his mana, if you're not faster than him, then there's really no point. On top of the fact we see that the way his magic worked, he's almost able to counter everything. Leo's tried with his fire magic, but nothing worked because Randall's air magic was just able to block and counter it with one of his air block spells. But of course, if your flames are hot enough, just like how Fagolion showed up, his flames were so hot that his air magic didn't work at all. Before Fagolion showed up though, we seen that he was able to create pretty much a massive air spirit bomb and he was ready to launch it at Leo. So not only we seen the potential of his speed factor with his air magic, but also his destructive capabilities. Just imagine with his air magic, if he used Mana Zone, he will crush everyone because air is everywhere. So I truly believe the way that Randall's air magic work, he has the potential to be a top tier character, but I don't think that will ever happen. Next on this list is my boy Jack. Jack's serving magic is so strong and amazing, it's not talked about enough. So let's talk about it. So the blades that are on Jack's arms, they are mana blades, which allows him to slash through anything, and I mean anything. We seen in chapter 173 where his serving magic, Death Scythe, wasn't able to cut Corundum magic. However, when he went for a second slash, he was able to cut it open easily. And he is able to do this by transforming his magic properties to match his opponent's magic, and that's how he's able to slash through it. Just by that statement alone just shows you how dangerous and how scary his magic is, because he can adapt, transform the properties of his magic, and can cut through anything. He's pretty much Asta with magic. It was even stated by Yami that Jack's desire is to slash through anything. That's the only thing that can satisfy him. So whatever he desires to cut, he can cut through anything. We see him even cut through spatial magic. It's the reason why Yami and this guy are rivals, because their magic types are quite similar, especially with Yami with his Dark Dimension Slash. He's able to cut through almost pretty much everything except when Dante created that Gravity Vortex, his Gravity Singularity spell. But with the way that Jack magic worked, he would have been able to transform the properties of his serving magic to match Dante's Gravity Singularity spell. Of course, that's not to say that Jack would have done a better job against Dante. That's just saying that the way that Jack's magic worked, he's able to excel in certain aspects that other people can't. That's why his serving magic is so amazing. I can't wait to see what's about to do with this character, because we need to see more Jack. We do. Last character for this video who I believe who can be extremely overpowered is Rades. Rades with his Wraith Magic is a walking military. With his Wraith Magic, he's able to reanimate the dead and control corpses by infusing his mana within their bodies. Despite Rades being a commoner, his mana amount is more than most nobles and even royals. That is why in chapter 24, when we see him attack the capital, he had so many reanimated corpses that flooded the entire town. The only way to destroy these reanimated corpses, you have to destroy the entire body, or they just gonna keep coming. You see hundreds of corpses during that arc that were infused by Rades' mana, and he still had enough to summon other special corpses by the help of Vaultos to help him fight off Asta. And even after Asta destroyed number 4 Jimmy, who had cursed magic, he still had enough to summon another corpse, which was his corpse number 2 Alfred, who had lightning magic, but of course it was destroyed by Fagolion. However, in the same process, he had number 3 David, who had muddy water magic that was fighting off Noel and Leopold at the same time. And while fighting Fagolion, he had more mana to summon number 1 Carl, who had offense and defensive magic, but there was no magic attribute that we know of yet. So with his Wraith magic type, he is extremely versatile because he's able to utilize anybody he can raise from the dead and protect him in a fight, and can still have more mana to summon other zombies as well. In chapter 166, we've seen that he was able to summon 2 corpses fused together who were both former Magic Knight captains, which allow his corpse, Michael Caesar, to have Spike Magic and also Wind Magic. So if Radius is able to summon anybody, even former Magic Knight captains, he can reanimate old Wizard Kings that came way after Lumiere. With his Wraith Magic, he can potentially shut down an entire kingdom. And also, what's amazing about his Wraith Magic is that he also can summon back the dead by evolving his magic to true Wraith Magic, which brings him back to life if he dies, and also people that he known for a long time. That is how he was able to bring back Sally and Vaultos, and able to bring back Patry by sending his soul into Lick's body when he was going to the afterlife. So with Radius, his Wraith Magic is the definition of overpowered. So yeah, that is my list of my overpowered potential characters in this series. You guys comment below and tell me what you think about this, and also leave in the comment section below of characters you believe who has a extreme overpowered magic type but is not utilized enough, or it doesn't have enough screen time. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe with notification bells on. You guys have an awesome life. Take care of yourselves, and I'm out.